Hi, folks. Welcome into another edition of UnAnchored Boston. UnAnchored Boston. I'm Mike Lynch, along with Bob Lobel and Alice Cook. More about her in a moment. But first,
That's Alice, in case there's any.
yeah.
That would be Alice, I'd be Bob, and there's
And we are gratefully brought to you by Cold Springs RV, which is your destination for all things camping and where. We're in New Hampshire, of course, and the great George Gray at George Gray's Lexington Toyota, 409 Mass Ave in Lexington, Mass. All right, our guest is Alice Cook, back by popular demand, and Moby, take it away.
I tell you what, I've been waiting to do this show ever since Alice was first on, maybe 2 months ago. And we talked to all things Boston sports and her experiences. But the one experience we never really talked about was the home run derby and the All-Star game that was in Boston. It was 99, right?
Yep.
1999. Party like it's 99. And Alice.
And we did.
Haven't stopped, actually. One of the interesting, there's a lot of interesting stuff that went on in that All-Star game. What do you remember about the game most, Michael?
Well, I remember the Ted Williams coming out with Al Forrester and just sort of unscripted the adulation. And baseball players are guys that like you come to me. I don't come over and kneel and genuflect in front of you. You come over to me. But these guys all were like a moth to a flame when Ted Williams got in that golf cart and they parked him in front of that pitcher's mound. And remember, they had the 100 greatest living players were there dressed in plain clothes, in addition to the All-Stars. So it was everybody that was alive. That was the greatest collection of baseball players ever. And they were there, and they just all came in together around Ted Williams. And the only thing that was bad about it is that, his son was, trying to make some money off hitters.com, like that, a hat, a shirt, or whatever. But, that didn't take away. And, of course, the night before, home run derby thing was, that ballpark was as alive as I've ever felt it.
Alice had a big role in that. And
Can I tell my story?
Yes, you're going to tell your story.
I've been thinking on the ride over.
We have props, too.
Segue, huh? I got to the All-Star game as fast as I could.
Yeah. So the night before, we got tickets. My son was 7, and my husband came with us. We had bleacher seats. Beautiful, like 30 rows up. Just my son was so excited. He brought his glove. I know I'm going to get it.
This was before the Green Monster seats.
Yes.
They were not there.
They were not there.
All
right. We're in the bleacher seats. And he was just so excited. I know I'm going to get a ball. And the contest started, and out like by a mile, just going up to the heavens, one after the other, after the other. None came our way. And we sat there for about 20 of them.
This was during the Derby.
I said, you know what? Let's get up and see where these balls are landing. And we left our seats, all 3 of us, left the ballpark, went to Lansdowne Street, and looked up, and whew, you could hear the crowd roaring. So you knew one was coming. And where are they landing? And we're looking, there are people up on the top of this parking garage on the roof.
Yes, they were.
And I said, we're going up there. So we found the stairs. We went on the roof. The first person we saw on the roof was Bob Newmeyer. And he had 3 balls in his hands, like 2 in his pocket.
This is one of them, okay?
And I said,
this was a B.J. Surhoff, who was in regular batting practice that they took before the home run derby. B.J. Surhoff, this was, well, whatever it was. There you go. I got it. It was Newey's fault.
So I asked Newmy, you give one else up for my son. Look at him. He's 7, he's cute. He's like, nope. and so we were standing up there, and there was another parking garage a little taller. And they were going up there, and we're looking up, and this guy says to my husband, hey, Pat Volk, how you doing? He was a Hingham cop that my husband played basketball with. They're both Pats, Pat. And he said, "This is my son. Do you have anything up there you could throw down?" And put this right in my son's glove. And so obviously,
But here's
his
where the
spirits
story
are-
gets really interesting. I mean, not that it wasn't interesting before.
Yes, about the initials.
Yeah, I've got the whole thing.
Yeah,
Go ahead. But
the
I'm just,
initials were in ink, and it was
on this ball.
on this ball. They're not there anymore because this ball is so old and has been sitting in the sun on his dresser in his bedroom. It faded, but it was MM.
I can attest to it. I had it in my desk drawer, and then Alice came in and got it, and I remember giving it to her back because we used it on Sports Final the following Sunday. But that we'll continue the story.
So Mark McGwire.
Mark McGwire, home run derby, 99 against. There are other people in there. Sammy Sosa. I don't know who won it that year. Maybe it was
Ken Griffey.
Ken Griffey. Good one.
So that was back when
Can I
people were thinking about juiced balls, right?
Oh yeah. Well, the thing about this, it's hard to tell the difference. Both on the same labels on it. But what we did, well, let me go ahead more.
No, then he ended up with it. That's kind of, but the ball became famous because it was on Sports Final, and Jamie Parker borrowed it for a thing on Nesson. Everyone wanted to do a story.
I mean,
on
what's
the
the
ball.
chances of her getting a Mark McGwire ball?
Nil.
No. I mean that has to be the luckiest find of all.
Right.
And whoever your friend was, the other Pat,
The other Pat the Cup.
good for
Hingham
Pat,
Cup.
Pat
Yeah.
for him. Good for him. So what we did, Michael, I think we can tell that there is a slight difference in the balls. It looks like one's a little bigger. I'm not sure that's the case. The one I'm holding looks a little bigger.
Well, you might be closer.
True, but the difference is in the threads, in the way it's wound, and what we did on Sports Final, we got a guy from MIT, a professor, in a lab coat, over on the show, and we did a demonstration, right?
Yep.
So go ahead, tell him.
Well, I know that was a long time ago.
Well,
he dropped it.
Yeah, he dropped it in
He
the studio.
dropped
He dropped
it.
them both at the
And we
same
saw
time.
which one hit the ground first, right?
Well, which one bounced higher?
Bounce higher.
Right. So-
Okay.
And it was, I don't know how many times we did it, but repeatedly, the Mark McGwire ball bounced a little higher than the regular BJ Surhoff ball because Numi, got his, Alice got hers. It allowed us to do this experiment with the lab coat guy from MIT. He really was the star of the show. I can't remember his name. Dr. somebody, whatever.
He was smart, wicked smart.
Well, anyway, that was kind of the story of the home run derby, and I wanted to make sure when the home run derby came around this year that Alice had a chance to talk about her snagging the Mark McGwire ball.
Now, do you think all the players put their initials?
I think they did.
Why do you think
in the
they
home
did
run
that?
derby? I don't know. That's a good question.
And it was just in pen. It wasn't like official, like a Sharpie, the autograph with the.
That's a good question. Why did they do that? They were home run derby balls. That's why, because they were different. They weren't confused with the regular baseballs. They used the juice balls in the home run derby. Was there any doubt in your mind, Michael, that the balls were juiced in the home run derby?
Not at all. Not at all. Those balls are just flying out of there. I mean, I rewatched Mark McGwire's first at bat when he hit at the time was a record 13 home runs in his first at bat. He kind of got tired in round 2 and round 3, but a couple of times he was just swinging. I thought there were pop-ups to shortstop, and Boomer Berman's going, there goes another one. Oh, that one's headed to Marblehead. This one's headed to the Mass Pike. And, oh my God, this one's going to Maine. And it was hilarious. And they were flying out of the park. And I said, there's got to be something wrong with these baseballs. These baseballs are alive. They're juiced. And we probably could find out why they were initial, but I don't know if it's for a souvenir. You could claim, hey, I got one that McGwire hit. You said, no, you didn't. It says JB, Jeremy Burnitz, or BJ Surhoff, or whatever. So I don't know what the exact reason was for that, but it was cool. And then the crowd, Alice, you were in the crowd. I mean, someone described it as a mosh pit. Because
It was.
it literally was. I mean, it was every square inch of Lansdowne Street was occupied by some type
Yeah.
of.
Oh my God, it's amazing we were able to get onto the roof because otherwise we'd be down there in the mosh pit, which would not have been great for a 7-year-old kid, I don't think. But worked out up on the roof.
So you were when you were sitting in the bleachers, everything went over the bleachers. Nothing came close to you.
Nothing. They all seemed to go to the left from home plate.
Right, toward the foul pole.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, some might have gone, but there was nothing going on straight away.
It was a great event. I have to say it was one of the highlight events of our whole career. I would say.
Without question. I mean, that place, I even watched it again today, and I got goosebumps watching it, because I remembered exactly where we were. We were inside the park, and I think we were in an auxiliary press box up on the roof in left field. I think that's where, so we could see the trajectory of the balls going over the screen, because that was before the monster seats, as you said. But we couldn't see only the ESPN broadcast. We could see the mayhem that was going on Lansdowne Street. And, at one point, McGwire hit 5 in a row on 5 pitches. And it was and every one of them landed out on Lansdowne Street. Everyone would get down here and get one. Whoop, and they run down here and get one. And it was cool. I mean, those 2 nights, we've seen a lot of great moments.
So that's all right. It's just a podcast. We're doing it. It's not bugging you. I'm stealing the McGwire ball, trying to find out where those MMs were.
They were very small.
And they were small.
And it's so weird. Maybe did we have Sharpies then? It was just
No,
weird.
It
was
an ink pen.
Blue.
It was an ink pen. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Michael Labor put on there to designate the fact that they didn't want any regular baseballs in the mix when these guys were hitting. That they had a bunch of balls for everybody. And I don't think one guy was more juiced than anybody else. At least not on the baseballs. But anyway, that's.
You got to remember, and this is July of '99, so we're coming off the '98 season, which is when McGwire hit 70, and he and Sammy Sosa were in a race for who was going to be the home run king, and nobody knew that both Sosa and McGwire, were juices. We suspected it, but we were celebrating it because there's that great commercial with Maddox and Glavine say, "Chicks dig the long ball." Remember that? It was a
Chicks dig the long ball.
And Nike made one for Glavine and for Maddox. They go, "Yeah, chicks dig the long ball. Where's mine?" And they were working out and they were trying to hit balls out of the park, and they didn't even come close to getting them out of the park. But they were going, "Hey, Cy Young's over here. We got all kinds of Cy Youngs." And they said, "No, chicks dig the long ball." And they do. People like home runs. It's, they always have been fascinated with home runs. Did they hit it to the opposite field? How far did it travel? And it's always been, no matter what the era, people care about how far someone hit. There's still a seat in Fenway Park. Remember where Ted Williams hit one?
Yeah.
500 something feet up in right field.
Mm-hmm.
Were you that high up, Alice, by the way?
What's that?
Were you as high up as where Ted Williams' seat was? Probably not.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I know where that's higher.
See, I think
but the balls were juiced. Was this when the players were juicing?
I don't think there's much question about that. That was right.
Did that
the whole
go
era.
hand in hand?
Yeah.
Like the the drugs and the
Well,
steroids.
Major League Baseball could admit the balls were juiced, but they couldn't admit the players were juiced.
It was still legal to take human growth hormones in 1990.
don't kid yourself. I think that Major League Baseball still regulates the in some secret formula regulates the tightness of how these balls are wound, and it correlates directly with how far they'll go. And I think the tighter the wind, the farther the fly.
You know, you should have had a lab coat on, Bob, that night when you had the guy from MIT.
What's that?
You should have had a lab coat on yourself. You would look good in a
I
lab.
know I should have. Well, I wouldn't go to Harvard, so
We don't have lab coats. We let the MIT guys have.
Oh, right. I got it. I understand.
But you know, you had the MIT guys on when they put the balloon in the Harvard Yale game.
Yeah,
Yes, that's true.
Then you had the Harvard. Then you had the MIT guys on for this. I mean, you got a connection. You got a bond with MIT.
I know. I'm sorry, Mike, but it was Harvard
Yeah.
didn't reach out. MIT did. What can I say?
You do not have an honorary doctorate.
he should. I was about to just say that you deserve to get up on that stage.
You're the
and
one
get
that
something.
snagged the ball. You're the one that snagged it. I think that
This is more ball talk that we've done since
Yeah.
Deflategate.
that's true.
We won't go there.
Right. You can't take the air out of the baseball.
No.
What do
So-
you, Al? He remembers the Ted Williams thing. What do you remember? This is your most vivid memory of that whole home run derby. Williams was part of the All-Star game. The home run derby was part of the night before.
Yeah.
Like today, we're taping this on a Monday. Home run derby would be tonight. All-Star game, obviously, tomorrow night. So that's where we're at. We're sending you to the ballpark. It's in Seattle. So see what you can get.
Okay, sounds good. So, but what Lynchy said, same thing. When I saw how the players, it was like a magnet.
Yeah.
When they all, Ted Williams is there, and they just wanted to like be near him.
Yeah.
And that was really cool.
Unbelievable. And they're guys, in their positions, the 100 greatest players of all time. They're like a fist behind the plate. They got Mays, they got Aaron, they got you name it, from Frank Robinson, Brooks Robinson.
Tony Gwynn was, came in and was
Yeah.
one of the first there.
And then they all were at the position when the American League and National League will line up in the first base line and the third base line, and Ted comes out of the center field gate door, the garage door, with Al Forrester driving him, and they all the people in the field with headsets, they have it scripted where you're supposed to stand, and as soon as Williams got in front of that mound, everybody just took the script, rip it up, throw it away. And then the announcers trying to say, "All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get the ceremony of first pitch," and he had no chance. He got drowned out because of Ted and the attraction that he was. And if there was any question about his impact, you get the fact that he never won a World Series. Any effect about his impact, multi-generational, it was evident that night in '99. Really was.
I think people, by and large, know that Babe Ruth and Ted Williams are two of the greatest players that ever lived. And they both happen to have played here in Boston. Not that there haven't been great players after them, and they have, but it's so difficult to compare. It's like comparing Julius Erving to Larry Bird or to Magic Johnson, or one is not necessarily better than the other. They're just absolutely great. Ted Williams was not only a great hitter, he was a great personality.
Yeah.
But the whole McGwire thing was almost tragic because he had such a run and it was such an emotional thing. Even the Hall of Fame, I can remember going out when Fisk was inducted into the Hall of Fame. There was a display at the Hall of Fame of McGwire and Sosa and the home run chase that pretty much saved baseball at that time.
Yeah.
And baseball then turned their backs on them because they felt they were, did the illegal thing of juicing, especially Barry Bonds. But anyway, it was amazing that you guys were able to come up with that. She called me today or texted me today, Alice did, and said, "I can't find the ball."
I was up in my attic in my basement. I was going through my old WBC, box that I left with.
Right.
And I did call my son. He said, in my bedroom, in the bookcase, on the shelf.
Oh, wow.
But the MMs are not on it anymore.
She said no, she couldn't find it. She said her husband said it was long gone, a long time ago. So I did not expect her to bring the
You
ball.
texted me, keep looking.
I did say that, keep looking. And you did. That was great.
You know, it's funny in our business, we're always scrambling around the All-Star break to find something to put on the air because it's three dead nights, you know, that's really nothing going on. And this was the most alive, you know, thing that we did all summer long. It was, you know, forget about Patriots training camp, which will be coming up in a couple of weeks, and, you know, the NBA playoffs and the Stanley Cup playoffs. This was it. This was the highlight of the summer. And it was something that, you know, we rode for a good week or so.
I mean, the home run derby's a gimmick. There's no question about it. It's probably, I mean, every sport seems to have its gimmick, whether it's the dunk contest,
3-point contest.
Yeah, 3-point, right.
The hardest shot in hockey.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a gimmick, punt, pass, and kick, or whatever football does. But the home run derby really
Works.
kind of works. It does.
Yeah.
And the All-Star game is the best All-Star game of all.
Yeah.
And
Of
so
course.
they do get something right.
It's
But
kind of, they do it on a clock now, like, I don't know, 30 seconds. How many swing you get? You know, if you swing fast and the guy throws the ball over the plate, you can get more swings than somebody else. But they've fine tuned it, and I think they've done a good job with it. It's you know, you might say you're not going to watch, but you put it on and you don't turn away from it. You keep it on.
No, but chicks do dig the long ball. And as you said, it was like the Maris family. Remember they showed up for McGwire last 60th home run or whatever, the 61st or whatever was going to 62nd or whatever, breaking Maris's record. And then, you know, Bonds totally eclipsed all that. But it was a different era and a different time for sure. But that is an amazing souvenir, I'd have to say. I couldn't believe you got it. I mean, I came back to the station, you showed me the MM on there. I couldn't believe it. And then
it's famous.
Numi's had this ball in regular batting practice. It is famous. And whether it has the MM on it or not, it's still.
Yeah.
I think the MM, if it was still on it, you might be able to get some money for it. But then they have to believe you. That, you know, there's an acceptability factor here that you have to believe Alice.
Well, you saw MM.
I saw it. I believe it. I mean, I'll be there to testify.
My
for
son saw it, obviously. Everyone in my family,
So
all his friends.
it was just, it was great. I don't know how the guy got it. The cop got it from Hingham. He just maybe caught it, maybe right there.
Yeah, they were going onto that roof as well. Numi was on one like this, and then there was one a bit higher.
How many cars got hit, Alice? Can you remember? Were cars being hit, or were they being caught before they hit the cars?
They were getting caught.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So the downstairs on the street was wild, huh?
Yeah, well, we didn't hang out there because my son was too little.
Right.
So
that was a
I
gift.
said, let's just go in the parking garage and go try to get on the
I
roof.
hope he has good memories of that, doesn't he?
He does. He
I mean,
totally
you have to go to that. Right.
Hey, you know, if you have a car there, you got to be careful about it. You know, if you're thinking about a new vehicle, you might not want to park it out there during batting practice. But before you buy a car, go where Bob and I always go.
They're home run proof, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, home run proof. It's George Gray's Lexington Toyota's cars are home run proof. They'll be safe. You can park it anywhere you want. See our good friend George Gray at George Gray's Lexington Toyota. Bob and I have been customers for years because we know George Gray will treat you right. They're family-owned, operated dealership that we trust and you can trust as well. Go see the great George Gray at Lexington Toyota, 409 Mass Ave in Lexington. I bet George Gray was probably at that home run derby.
Yeah, ask for the dent-proof model. I'm sure he's got them. There was who was your favorite player of all time in baseball?
In baseball,
Well, in Boston.
they weren't kind to me. Those baseball players.
There weren't.
It was the toughest locker room to go into.
Without question.
Yeah.
Why?
No question.
Because I was the only one on TV with a camera. That
Why
kind
not?
of talked about that last time, and
Well, we talked about
there
the
were
Patriots.
several players
We
that,
talked about the Patriots and
those two.
those guys.
But Red Sox favorite player
Well, they were
or personality?
okay, the whole thing that goes hand in hand.
I'd say favorite player, Ortiz,
Yeah.
and nicest guy who had the walk-off hit in the World Series. I'm spacing on his name.
Dave Henderson.
Nope. Infielder. Shoot. He was really nice. He always did, like, before the game, we had to go and get some sound.
Pedroia.
Buddy Barrett.
No.
Can't be
It'll come to me.
Garcia Parra.
No. That was
Michael Lowell.
Yes, thank you.
You know,
Michael. He never said no.
he was in the. He
Got
was
a minute?
He
Sure.
was the MVP in Colorado.
Yes, that's why
Well,
I have a
Remember when
walk and talk with him. Walk-off interview. That
was good.
Yeah.
It was great. Remember that picture we took with Joe Amorsino coming off the field? Roche, you and I and Joe Amorsino was coming off the Colorado field. It was a great.
Yeah, that was amazing. I loved how they let all the
What's
Boston
that,
fans
Mike?
into the stadium.
You, Amorsino, Roche. I'm not invited.
You were probably working. I'm just saying you were somewhere in the ballpark. Yeah, you probably were invited. Come on.
But St. Louis never would happen in Boston. All the fans left. They lost. All those Red Sox fans standing outside were allowed in.
Yeah.
To celebrate
that
with
was
their
pretty
team.
cool, huh?
That was awesome.
Yeah.
It was.
And the St. Louis fans were giving up their seats, so the Red Sox fans who were standing in the aisles way up could come down and celebrate the World Series win.
Yeah. Never would happen here.
You don't think?
Mhm.
No.
I ran into somebody from St. Louis this winter, and I said, they're the nicest sports fans. I said, in the World Series, like, you get off the plane, and the first thing you see is, "Welcome to St. Louis, Boston fans. We hope you have a nice time." I said, be giving the finger, St. Louis fans, go back to St. Louis, they're lost.
Sounds familiar.
Welcome to Boston. Now go home. At the airport.
Right.
I'm going to go back to that home run derby. That was a time, Alice and Bob, when nobody ducked out of the home run derby. Everybody wanted to be part of it. Now everyone says, no, it takes too much energy, it takes too much strength. I'm not going to. And so half the time you go and see, these aren't the guys you want to see in a home run derby contest. You want to see the Mookie Betts, I guess is going to be in it this year. But, I would never. A guy, if they had it in the day of Willie Mays and Hank Aaron, I don't think they would opt out of it. I think they'd participate.
Yeah, well, I hope people say, how come we can't get players like that?
Oh, man. I have a daughter in LA, like you do, Lynchy. She loves going to those
My
games.
daughter's going to LA too.
Mookie.
Do you know that?
Yeah.
My daughter's
Cool.
going to LA.
All three of us. The daughters
Maybe
in
they
LA.
know something we don't.
She had good seats and she took a shot and it was Mookie at bat. It was a really cool picture. And it's like,
That's cool.
she said, I love Mookie.
Well, this is a different place, but it's our place. So what are we going to, it's so many.
Remember the time when there were 2 All-Star games every summer?
Yep, there were 2. That was a little before Alice's time.
Yep.
For my time.
But there were. I remember that, Michael.
I was sent out, remember, to Milwaukee when the Ted Williams thing happened with the son and the body. Remember all that?
Yeah.
You put, and we had no credentials. Everything was from the parking lot. And that's all we talked about for like
That
3
was
days.
kind of a grim.
That was a big, whoa.
That was very odd, very uncomfortable to cover.
That was very uncomfortable.
Cryogenics, remember that?
Yeah.
And the one thing though that, despite the bizarreness of that whole thing, and I hope for Ted's sake it works, but despite for the bizarre, it's not an unreasonable thing to wish for. Despite the bizarreness of that, he still is considered one of the greatest players, greatest hitters of all time.
Yeah.
It didn't really tarnish his reputation in baseball. It had a lot to do with the way his son reacted and how much his son was paid by Alcorn. That was the name of the company.
Arizona.
Yep.
And it was bizarre, but it was still just part of the lore of Boston, as were these baseballs. I mean, now the All-Star games, they are coming back to Boston at some point, aren't they? At least they talked about it.
There's only 30 teams, and there's been, 24, how many years? 23, 24 years. So, but it's a lot of work. Remember, like, they have the Fan Fest and all that stuff down at the Heinz Convention Center. That's where everything was, and you have to get on there, in the 2 or 3 days before the home run derby and the game. And some other cities might be better suited for it than Boston, but in terms of passion in the game, I mean, just Google that thing. It's about 9 minutes long. McGwire's first when he hit and the crowd shots. Everybody's standing at Fenway, and then you couldn't get another human being in that ballpark. And then when Lansdowne Street, Alice, you know this firsthand, you couldn't get another person on Lansdowne Street. Put one more person in there, somebody was going to pop and burst.
Yeah.
It was electric. It was all unscripted. You know what I mean? No one said, "Hey, let's go to Lansdowne Street and watch the home run." People just gravitated there. They knew that was the place to be.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew they didn't have a ticket, but they knew, and okay, me and my buddies, I think we're going to outsmart everybody. Whoa. 30,000 other people had the same thought I did.
How did you expect you were going to get a baseball from the home run derby?
Never.
No, unless you're Alice Cook and know somebody on the roof, Hingham Cobb.
Yeah, I wish I knew his last name, but it was Pat, the Hingham Cobb. Well, I'll research it. He was so nice to do that.
Did anybody?
Here's a ball for you.
Your son or Pat hold the ball up to show everybody, or do you just sort of just corral it and hold on to it?
Your son probably didn't.
No, my husband, I think, put it in my son's glove, and they took it back and probably put it in his pocket. He didn't want to lose that thing walking out.
Because I was watching some of the video today, and the people were working in groups. Like as soon as one would come over, and some little 10-year-old would catch it, somebody would go over and try to open the glove and steal the glove, rip the glove out.
Not here in Boston.
Oh.
No, I don't believe that. For a second.
That's not nice.
Really not.
So should we have another All-Star game here in Boston?
Baseball? I think it's another one coming. Yeah.
Yeah, Fenway Park. I mean,
I don't think
everyone loves Fenway Park.
Well, yeah,
it's a tourist attraction.
Yeah, it is. It's people come to the park to see the park. You don't necessarily have to have a game there.
Right.
In fact, you go over there and just go on one of the tours.
Mm-hmm.
They're amazing. But anyway, I think that, what better place to have a home run derby than here?
Oh, unreal. Now you get the monster seats. So the ones that don't go over the top of the seats get caught by people out there. And that would be a place, that would be the ticket to have, to be sitting in the monster seats for the home run derby. And they probably, by now, I'm sure that John Henry could figure out a way to sell Lansdowne Street, and you can't get down Lansdowne Street unless you have a ticket now.
Right. No, that's good. Of course.
Yeah.
But that would be absolutely fabulous to have one in here, and the place would be buzzing.
So tell me, if you go into the Red Sox clubhouse, what kind of hard time did they give you? Just like they were couldn't be bothered by your questions, or they just didn't respect your questions?
Well, there was no area where.
So it was always one-on-one.
Well, you were right there when they were, getting out of the shower.
Okay.
And,
what was that like?
Awful. You guys don't know your men, but it's really disturbing.
Well, I'm just saying,
Leslie Visser had the best line about
Leslie
this.
Visser, right.
She said, Alice, as a reporter, we're taught to use all our observation skills. Always know what's going on. But since we're women, we have to use all our observation skills, but not look. It's difficult. But like, someone like Bruce Hurst, I respect his faith, and he told me in spring training, I just want you to know I have a problem with you, going to
Because he's
charter.
Mormon.
Yes. And I said, well, it's my job. I don't enjoy
He
it.
told you that in spring training?
Yeah. I said, it's the
pretty
hardest
interesting.
part of my job. And, I have to do it.
Right. Nobody really.
Someone's got to do the
That was
interviews.
probably the least fun. I think people thought going into a locker room and interviewing players would be like the greatest experience in the world, but
No.
it is not, right?
No.
It is totally not.
The one thing that was great when I came in, on the right, who's sitting there? Johnny Pesky. And he would say hello and
He loved you.
how are you kids?
No, he loved you.
So I was able
He
to
loved
stop and chat without,
He had your
bombing
back, right? If things got tough, he would have your
He
back.
was so sweet.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He lived in the same street in Swampscott as Tony C. Parsons Drive. Yep, they lived about 6 houses apart. Tony, the Caniglaro, Sal and Teresa, and Tony lived home with them most of the time. And then right about five a little higher up on Parsons Drive was Johnny Pesky. And every once in a while they'd give each other a ride to the ballpark. And
That's cool.
When did the home run derby start? I should never ask this question because I don't know the answer. It's like a lawyer. Don't ask the question you don't know the answer to. I'm trying to remember what year the home run derby started because it is a fairly new invention of ESPN.
yeah, well, it's I don't know. I could look it up I'll look it up. You guys keep talking. I'll look it up.
Let
You
me-
know what? I have a cute little story about Lynch's.
Okay, let me do this commercial first,
Okay,
okay?
do the commercial.
All right. Where did you go?
I'm right here.
Drop the ball.
Mike, why didn't you wear the same color we're wearing today?
I didn't get the. I don't know if I have a
Okay.
peach.
It's peach.
Yeah.
That's a peach, hon. Okay. Campers. Okay, Cold Springs RV. This is about having camping.
Don't read the part where it says 4th of July.
No, I changed that already, Mike. Thank you very much.
Right.
You don't want to know what I changed it to?
Let's cross it out.
I changed it to has passed us by. Now we're looking for the rest of July, August, and September. How's that for finishing that line?
Pretty good.
Okay, let me continue with the commercial. Now's the time to see a fantastic selection of motorhomes at Cold Springs RV. So go check out the deals and enjoy the pressure-free environment. They also have a large display of pop-ups, whatever, for summer camping fun. July 4th, has passed us by.
So get ready.
So get ready for a great July, August, September, October, blah, blah, blah. Learn more online at coldspringsrv.com and make it a summer. There's plenty of summer left. Summer to remember. With any luck on looking up that date, Mike?
I'm right here. I'm not really good at this stuff.
Okay, well, let me just finish this. Make it a summer to remember.
1985.
Okay.
Wow.
Really?
It's my first year at BZ.
Make it a summer to remember with a camper from Cold Springs RV. That's Cold Springs RV in Ware, New Hampshire. Ware, right west of Manchester.
Where?
Haverhill. Where? Yeah. That was your first year at BZ?
85. 84, 85.
All right. So Alice, after we run that
Can we go
spot,
back just for
Yes,
one minute
this
to
was
the locker room?
Yeah, good. This
The easiest time for me for that, having to do that was when I was pregnant, because they were going to mess with, it's like, oh, so they kind of were more respectful, the whole thing. So my first kid was due in August. So for 2 months, it's going to be, the whole thing. And they'd say, hey, when's your baby? They'd be nice about it. And I'm out there the following season, and I'm pregnant again with my second. And Mike Greenwell says, you haven't had that baby yet. Yeah, like an elephant just. He was really, asking it. He wasn't joking.
No, I don't think he was.
I love that story.
That's a great story.
it's a great story.
It also gives you a sense about their awareness of the things around them. They're aware of their batting average and what they did on the day before.
Here comes the gator.
They won't be wearing lab coats to ballpark. That's for sure.
86, 85 was the first one, huh?
85. Yep, 85. Yep.
And then what happened in 86 that was so memorable?
Falling through Bill Buckner's legs.
Yeah, the Mets, right.
It was kind of a magical year because the Celtics beat the Houston Rockets in the NBA Finals, and the Red Sox went to the World Series against the Mets.
Did you get thrown out of the Hard Rock? Were you there when we got thrown out of the Hard Rock?
I never got thrown out of a bar. How'd that happen? I'd love to hear this story.
You ever heard that story?
No.
You know, they had that chant, Daryl, Daryl,
Yeah.
Strawberry.
Mm-hmm.
And Fenway would do it all the time, right?
Yeah.
When Daryl. So this was after 86. This was after the Buckner game. We're driving back in with Jack Williams, Chuck DeLacos, who was an editor, and a few other members of the staff. We're in the same car, and we're talking about the Buckner, you know, a wild pitch, and who's going to be blamed for this, who's going to be blamed for that. And we go to the Hard Rock Cafe in New York.
Oh, and okay.
No, it's in New York.
Okay.
And I started chanting. I don't know what got into me. Sometimes I can get a little, crazy. We started saying Daryl, and then the bartender said, "Cut it out. Because if you don't cut it out, I'm going to throw you out." Okay, sir. No problem here. You know, we're respectable citizens. So about 10 minutes later, the bartender was gone. We looked over, for some reason, he just wasn't there. And so I started doing it again. But he was down fixing a beer keg. And when it came up, that was the end of that. Out. Jack Williams had a drink, adult beverage drink. He just tipped over in disgust, tipped the drink over on the bar. And I'll never forget it. It was just really one of those moments. We were thrown out. And of course, like any fake aggressive fighter, I wanted to go back in. And then he said, no, Bob, no. I wasn't going back in. I just pretended. Right, it's one of those.
Let me at him.
So that was it. That was our get thrown out of the Hard Rock Cafe in New York.
Well, let me ask you this. So Bob just read the spot. I think you might have done this last time for Cold Springs RV.
Oh yeah, good. I'm sorry, I forgot about this question. Here's a good question. Good.
So they're making this. It's still in the making, still in the design stages. They're making. Remember John Madden had a Madden cruiser.
Yeah.
So they're designing a Lobel cruiser.
I love it.
And we're going to give each one of our guests free use of the Lobel cruiser to drive cross country. But you have to bring one sport figure with you to talk all the way across country. And it can be alive, they can be dead, somebody that you'd want to talk to all the way across country. So who would you pick, Alice Cook?
Good one.
Wow.
We've had some really good answers to this.
It could be live, dead.
You're driving,
across country. That's how many hours? How many days?
That's probably, I did it once. It was about a week.
I don't know. Tom Brady?
Very good.
I'd start there.
See, I thought you were going to go back on our Ultra theme here and take Ted Williams with you.
I think you made the right choice.
Wake up, Ted. We're almost there.
Are we there
Sorry.
Shame on you. That's very funny. Tom Brady, why not? I mean, what else would you pick, right?
Yeah,
Pat Sullivan picked him last week too.
Huh?
Pat Sullivan picked Tom Brady.
Yeah, So he's bisexual. Brady, Pat Sullivan picked him, and you picked him. I'm just thinking. I'm not making a statement. I'm just making an observation.
Speaking of Red Sox locker rooms, do you guys remember Rob Woodward in 19?
Oh, do we ever? You know that story.
Well, so do you. But
Clemens with his wife and Al Nipper after Rob Woodward ended up on TV. Not
on
covered
his station.
on your station.
Your
Center
station.
5, they called it, remember? Nude Center 5. He
And
was
what
in
did-
the
what
he
did
was in
Clemens
the
say?
way background.
What's that?
Remember that? They're coming in for sports final. It's Clemens, his wife, and Al Nipper. And Nipper is hammered. He's like coming down the
they
hallway,
did the
bumping
head-
into
the
nobody.
head-
They're doing headbutts. They're having fun. And then Alan Miller, our producer, was showing that tape to someone in the office. And Clemens said to Deb,
His wife. Right?
"Look, honey, there's Woody and his
And his Woody.
starts with P
What?
P-E-C-K-E.
Oh, really? 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 It's a podcast. We can do that.
Well, he said, "Look,
Clemens
Deb,
said that
there's Woody,
Woody
and
and-
his pecker."
Woody Woodpecker.
No, and his.
Channel 5. That was it.
Deb's like, ew.
What kind of a
He was like kind of doing a dance, right?
What? I don't know, Mike. What was he doing?
He had a, yeah.
Well, what happened was in the foreground, right in front of the camera, Darling was interviewing Don Baylor and Jim Rice. In the background, way back in the corner, Woodward's getting dressed, and so remember the camera's over by the locker room door, and he's in the far corner, and he's getting dressed, and now the guys looking up the monitor and they see him, so the guys are spinning him around, and they keep spinning him around and spinning and taking his towel away, and it's getting worse by the minute.
What, honey? What's on Channel 5?
I'm back in the. I don't know why I was back in the studio, but I guess in those days you always had a safety net in case the live shot went down. So I'm back there now. Baylor and Rice are getting and they're starting to giggle, and Woodward now is starting to flash himself. He's really enjoying this scene, and this that plug should have been pulled in the control room a lot longer. I mean, this thing went on for 5 or 6 minutes.
It was.
It went on.
You think they would have cut it off, but
Did
I
the
mean, I don't mean
camera-
literally.
Now, let me ask you this, Lynchy. The cameraman probably was focusing on the interview that someone from your station was doing. He had no idea
Right.
what was going on in the background, like
Right.
in the corner of the screen.
Certainly, people in booth Channel 5 did.
Baylor and Jim.
They just let it run.
I can remember two people got severely disciplined. They got 2 weeks suspension without pay.
Really?
Oh,
Dumping out of it. Oh yeah,
Why? Why was that? Because they.
should have dumped out of it. Just
What did they claim? Didn't see
back-
it.
go back to the studio to me until they put a towel around Rob Woodward or got him out of frame, and then we can go back. But this thing just went on, and the longer it went, more and more people inside that locker room up what they were doing. They went, "Holy crap! Look at oh God, it's right there! It's what's happening right there! Look at that! Come over here!" And guys went over. They were looking up at the TV, and they were looking at, "Hey, Woody!" And then we became, because our thing was News Center 5, we became Nude Center 5.
I remember that. News
Yeah.
Center vibe.
Great, huh?
Great.
Oh my gosh.
That was, and we still had to. That was during the American League Championship Series. This is when they beat the Angels in 7 games, and now we still have the World Series to go through.
That
So,
was when Clemens had that game, 21 strike or something, and we showed the highlights on Sports Final, and every strikeout, Nipper would say, "Baya, baya, baya, baya." And they were knocking heads a lot.
They did a lot.
Yeah.
They did a lot of that. That was a Don Shane production. Huh? A late Don Shane.
Yeah. Oh, rest in peace.
good guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
no one got more mileage out of being somebody else's caddy than Al Nipper did with Roger Clemens. You know that?
That's true. Well, wait a minute. Lou Merlone did a pretty good job with Garcia Parra.
Yeah, he was pretty good. But Garcia, Clemens could be a good guy. He was fine. Garcia Parra, I don't think he could find many people in Boston that had a good word to say about Garcia Parra. Do you agree?
I haven't heard anything, but you know what? I
have it downstairs. I got a royalty check the other day for 2 guys, a girl, and a pizza that I was on with Nomar, and Ryan Reynolds was in the.
Whoa!
But so we were on. We filmed his scene at the Channel 5 sports desk, and the scene was this woman is infatuated with Nomar, and Nomar is going to leave and go play for the Yankees, and she's just going to be beside herself. And so, we did the scene. Well, Nomar, have you made up your mind where you're going? He said, I have, Mike. I have. It's because of Allison. I can't let her down. I'm going to stay with the Red Sox. And everyone goes, yay! All right, take 2, take 3. We did about 6, 7 takes. And so Dixie Watley was in the studio. And she just, those are the days when, you had Joyce and we had Dixie and they had Andrew.
Entertainment report.
Yeah. And so she just wanted to come over and, talk to Nomar, a couple of questions about, the show and the scene. And he did a couple of things. Then Nomar's father was there. So she went over to his father and started talking to him. Nomar came right over, put his hand in front of the camera lens. No, none of this. Let's get out of here right now. Let's go. And he ruined the whole thing for Dixie Watley. That night, the Red Sox were playing home. And so, we're standing in our usual spot doing our live shots, and Nomar comes out of the dugout with a couple of bats, and I said, "Hey, Nomar, how you doing?" He looked at me like, "Who the frig are you?" I said, "Hey, did Hollywood call you after the thing today?" He goes, "What? What are you talking about?" It's like it was like 3 hours earlier, we were shooting that scene at Channel 5, and he just made no concession that he remembered it, knew who I was, or anything that went on. So right there, I said, right there, Omar, you can have it. I don't hold a grudge.
He wasn't out a go-to in the clubhouse for interviews at all.
He drew the line.
He drew the line in front of his locker.
Red tape.
Oh, he literally
even put your toe on it.
made a line.
Mhm.
Do not
Made a
cross.
line with red duct tape. The next year, they got a new rug where the red line was embroidered into the rug, and you couldn't cross it.
Only the Red Sox.
Embroidered.
Only the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I hated going in that locker room. I hated going in there.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Well, it was the great thing about being the anchor is you didn't have to do
Yeah.
that.
I mean, the Bruins, easy breezy. Celtics,
Okay.
Not bad.
fine.
Yeah.
And even Patriots, it's hard to
Except
be
for
when
the-
they have like 90 and it goes down.
Except for those 2 that were harassing
well,
you.
they got fined and everything, and I think that
No,
that wasn't going to happen again.
No, right.
Yeah, but Red Sox is tough, I think. So even you would agree? I don't know.
Oh,
It was
I
just-
totally agree. There was a pecking order of where you'd rather go, after a game, win or lose. And the Bruins always were first.
Yeah.
Yeah, without question.
And then, anybody in the Bruins.
Anybody.
Yeah, anybody.
Anyone.
From Harry on down.
Right.
No one said no.
Right.
He'd just stand there. Nate would bring somebody out. Frankie Voner would bring somebody out, and there'd be stars. Like here comes Rick Middleton. Well, here comes John Rattel. It's not like
The Celtics came out, Michael. The table they sat on. It was like they had a pecking order of who'd come out. McHale would be next to last, and who would be last? It would be number 33.
Right.
Yeah.
And when Elvis left the building, everybody went home.
That's right. In and out. Right. They did have a good system
Yeah, it did.
because you got the really good bites.
And Max, they all went on, right? The whole group, and then Bob.
Yeah.
When Larry left, see you later, boys.
Hey, And you had to be there every night for Larry because you never knew what he was going to say.
Right.
You know, and when he could be, that one night you don't go there, he just gives it a gem. We stunk. We played like a bunch of sissies. We don't play tomorrow. We're going to get our asses kicked. And I'm going, oh, why weren't we down there? It's one of those things. So he just had to be there, get a camera, get a reporter, and just be there every single night because you never know what Larry's going to do. And except for the 5 games they played in Hartford, you had a good affiliate in Hartford. Channel 7 had a good affiliate. Ours was in New Haven, Connecticut, and they would rather cover like
Yale,
Yale
something.
something. They were so bad. So I'd say, I said, hey, did you are you covering the Celtics post game tonight? No. Are you covering the Harvard Yale game? No. So when Bob Kraft came this close to moving the Patriots to Connecticut, remember he had a deal with Governor Rowland? So we had to do a live talk back with the New Haven station. And so, I'm sitting there waiting to go on the air, but I'm on, they can hear what I'm saying. And I'm saying to all the people in the newsroom, why are we doing these freaking television station a favor? They've done the school board reads WNAV, whatever is in New Haven, 0, WCVB 3,426. They haven't done a freaking thing for us. They stink. They suck. To this, to that. I don't want to do this. Blah, 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 blah. I came on, and so they were all listening to this. Jack Harper calls me up. Now, he's going to work with them side by side with their cameraman and their truck operator. He goes, what did you say about this New Haven television station? I said, I just told the truth. And he goes, yeah, well, my thing's out of focus. The battery died at a key moment. Thanks a lot, Mike. Thanks a lot, Lynchy.
They're shooting up my nostrils. Not my best. That is funny. But there was always the thing, once you put that microphone on, remember that? And it's live, just don't talk.
I know.
Because a lot of that does happen.
It's happened.
Just, it's like,
It happened. I was in the newsroom. That's when, we had one of those cameras in the newsroom. So we looked like you were there while all the decisions were being made. And I'm just getting ready to go on the air. And I'm just spewing venom about this New Haven TV station. And I'm going, they haven't covered a Harvard Yale game for us. They wouldn't even go to a Harvard Yale game for us. Imagine that. Those cocksuckers, blah, 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 blah. And it just was like they heard every single word. And poor Jack Harper paid the price for it.
what was did you ever have a moment where you had a live mic and either on set or
no, I don't remember ever coming that close to screwing things up. However, Danny Murata, our photographer, there were 2 times. One was America's Cup in Newport, was in '83, and the next one was at Shea Stadium, and it might have been '86. So Murata was focused this time. He's going to kill me for telling this story, but that's the way it was. He just wasn't. I'm not saying he wasn't paying attention, but I'd start talking and the camera would start going down and I'd have to go down lower and lower to keep with the camera. It happened on a live shot at Fenway Park, all right, at Shea Stadium. The camera would just be, I'll never let him forget it. It happened twice. In Newport, I think he fell asleep or whatever, waiting on, anyway. We've all had moments.
Mine was in Pittsburgh, playoff game, football. Remember how cold it was? I forget the year. It was so cold.
Yes.
And the morning, what was the pregame show? Freezing. People couldn't even get their mouths to work. I went out and bought a new coat that was way too expensive because I knew I was going to be freezing for a sports final. And that was the day they changed control booths back at the station. And I had my earpiece in and no one's talking to me because no one's in the booth. So I'm like, I'm freezing, I'm jumping up and down. And I almost said, F. I am
effing freezing.
They didn't said it freaky, but it was starting to come out. And that would have been really bad. No, but people just said, you're on live. Stop it. Stop jumping up and down.
It's just one of the factors you
Yeah.
have to deal with. You have to
Yep.
be aware, you know, you have to edit yourself and be aware.
Yeah.
It's not that
True.
easy. Sometimes it's just not that easy because you just let your emotions get away. We've all done stupid things on and off camera, for sure, but it's the on camera stuff that's really the funniest stories. Anyway, you guys are great. You're great again.
Great to be here.
And
Anytime.
if you have anything else to add, we'll take it. If not, let's save it for whatever.
Save it.
Enjoy the home run derby tonight and let's see the ball. This
One
one,
more time.
just remember this one. This one bounces higher than this one. So you can feel the juice coming out of that when you squeeze it. So those balls tonight, yeah, they got a little extra going for them.
Yeah.
They're wound a little tighter.
I'll be watching.
Good job, Alice. Thanks.
All right, Alice. Thanks.
Yeah. Good seeing you guys.
Yeah, you were great. Thanks. Thanks, Michael.
Bye bye. See you next week.
Hey, thanks.
Bye.